Chris, right now, what we got is the top 10 hottest comics of the week based off of cover prices data. That is right, real sales data, not speculation. Oh, this book seems like it's going to be hot because they cast this guy in this thing. Oh, this character's going to be here. Oh, I think this is going to happen. No, real sales data. This list is created by Cover Price on a Monday. Our show is live on a Friday. What we like to do is go through the top 10 list briefly, and Chris then picks out his 3 most interesting books off of that list. So right now, Chris, we're just going to get right into it, aren't we? Just going to get right into it. Because it's an interesting list, as it is almost every week. Almost every week. Here we go. What do we got? Here is the top 10 hottest comics of the week. At number 10, we have Red Room. Number 4, the Jim Rugg 1 in 10 variant Fantagraphics 2021. Number 9, we have Ultimate Fantastic Four number 22, the first full appearance of Marvel Zombies. I don't know why this made it in because that episode was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. At number 8, we have New Avengers. Number 11, the first appearance of Ronan. We know why. We saw Ronan in the Hawkeye trailer, and it was Kate Bishop as Ronan. At number 7, we have Ultimate Fallout. Number 4, I'm not sure why this book is on there. I don't know anything about it. Who is this person? What is this character, Chris? I don't know. Just kidding, guys. I know damn well that's the first appearance of Miles Morales. At number 6, we have White. Number 3, Black Mass Studios. Number 5, we have Young Avengers number 1. This thing is chock full of first appearances, including Kate Bishop. At number 4, we have Black Knight. Number 1, the first ongoing title of the character. Number 3, we have Hawkeye. Number 1, Kate Bishop Hawkeye. Number 2, we have Grendel. Number 1, hot off of that announcement that Netflix will be producing a Grendel series. And at number 1, we have Iron Man 12, the Raza Miles Morales variant. That thing is hot. He's just sitting there at a DJ booth. He's just jamming. Chris, man, interesting week, but I'm on the edge of my seat here. What do you got? Let's just go for it. Dive right in.
All right, folks. So I usually get really animated about 3 books, and I'm not going to do that this week. You guys may look at what I have to say this week and be like, oh, you're kind of contradicting what you always talk about. But it's not really that black and white, and it's not really a negative thing. But I'm going to point out the obvious, folks. I looked at this list this week and basically sat here and said to myself, you know, I saw the list, and what I do is I look at the list, I look at what they've been doing in you know, what the books are, what they've been doing on the market. And I just said, this is the rinse, recycle, repeat. Every week it's optioned, trailer, incentive. Optioned, trailer, incentive. MCU, you know, trailer, option, incentive. And it's like the same thing all over these top 10 lists. So let's bring that up real quick. Let's bring the list up and let's look at it. We got incentive in number 10 with the Red Room. Ultimate Fallout 4, Ultimate Fantastic Four. It wasn't a trailer, but it was the actual TV show with the MCU. MCU is always all over the place. New Avengers number 11, Ronin trailer, Hawkeye trailer, Ultimate Fallout 4. No Way Home trailer. You know, Miles is going to show up in the multiverse, right? White number 3. White number 3 is a bit of a low print run. So, hey, there's a little something different in there. Young Avengers 1 trailer, Black Knight trailer, you know, Eternals. Hawkeye number 1 trailer, Grendel optioned. Iron Man, not incentive variant, but variant. So here's the thing, guys. I'm not being a Debbie Downer on this. It was just hard for me to really kind of pick anything that stood out. And I wanted to talk about these things that are always here and what that means. This rinse, recycle, repeat often gets hit with, those that do see it as negative is saying, it's just movie hype, speculation. People don't read the books anymore. You know, it's not even collectors that are collecting books, and it's just speculators buying these books up and all this stuff. And I say this. Although, yes, it was tough for me to sit and look at these books and say, there's not really 3 that like just stand out and speak to me that are doing anything different. But I say this, and I want to ask you guys this. If you take away the rinse, recycle, repeat, right? If you take away the option, trailer, and incentive, what do you have left? All right. So maybe if you took all that away, the sales that would be on the market, maybe a little bit of mix of just people wanting to buy just more older, maybe keys, or, you might even get some stuff that people are buying because they want to read more. I don't know. I've definitely seen some comics that get hot because they want to read, read the actual comic itself. The story is what gets it hot. But as of late, you get this kind of trifecta here. The thing is this, and the point that I'm trying to make is that those things, those sales that would be there if these weren't here, are still out there. People are still buying those books. So maybe Cover Price's top 10 doesn't cover it because they're only focused on the number, the sales number, right? And we cover Price. But you get people like Rock and Robbie of Pop Culture Philosophers. You get people like AR Comics, who will be a guest co-host on Comic Book Canon next week. Big shout out to AR. Who does a new comics weekly where he talks about the stories. These things do not exist. They exist. But you got to understand that what we talk about is a bit of a rinse, recycle, repeat, because this is something that's very, very crucial to the hobby right now. So don't get mad about it. It's only one avenue though. But again, why do I not see this as negative? Is because these things, no matter if it's speculators, no matter if it's just hobbyists like with the FOMO, right? Whatever, no matter if it's people being brought in thinking that, it's options, so that just means it's worth money. And I don't know, maybe that for some reason, that's what they like to collect. Maybe they think they're going to get rich. I don't know. It's keeping the hobby thriving. All right. Just because we talk about these books don't mean you need to go buy them. Just because books get hot because of being optioned or because of a trailer doesn't mean you need to buy a book because it's been optioned or it pertains to a trailer. Just because it has an incentive variant doesn't mean you need to. But some people out there love this stuff. So while unfortunately Jeff and I aren't here talking about our top 10 every Friday night to discuss, what's the hot new storyline out there. We do bring that up in our Fresh from the Comic Shop. We show off keys that we picked up, or Jeff's picking up a lot of good reads and he talks about them. We do incorporate that. So I just wanted to really kind of dive into that. I think it's very interesting, to see what's been going on. And I just, at this point in time, I didn't have 3 books to pick out, but I wanted to use this week's list as a segue into stating that these things are going on and it's a good topic of discussion to talk about, because I want the people that are creating this cycle, this trifecta cycle, I want them to know that it's okay as long as you're buying smart, and I always talk about like, don't go buy the 9.8, find a raw copy, get it, press send it in, or, this just because it was option, maybe let it cool off, might not be a good time to buy. I always like to give my information there. But if this is how you want to collect, that's awesome. But if you're not into any of these things, then, you might be more into the new segment that we do, the Fresh from the Comic Shop, or some other segments that a lot of other people cover, because reading comic books, buying for the writers, for the stories is still there. So with that being said, though, I want to really finalize this week's top 10, though, and say that the one book that did stick out to me was the number 1 book on the list, and it's the Iron Man 12 Miles Morales variant. As somebody that loves hip hop and loves music, I just absolutely love this cover with him on the turntables. And look, this isn't an incentive, and I just think that this is one book on this list that shows that people love covers. And that's really awesome, and maybe parts of it is the Miles hype train as well. But this is a very unique cover and it spoke to a lot of people. So kudos for this book being number one. But yeah, guys, I mean, look, it is what it is. I'm not burnt out on why these books make the hot 10. I just thought it was a very, very interesting topic of discussion to take and to just kind of flesh that out. I will continue to be an advocate for people collecting whatever they want to collect, as long as it makes them happy and as long as they are being smart collectors in the decisions that they make.
Yep, 100%. And there's so much to factor into why books are collected, why they get hot, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, I think you said it. It's like, this is a hobby most of us have loved for a while, right? And this is a height I don't think we've ever seen before, right? Does that make sense? That the frenzy, and I think it's fun, and I think it's healthy for the market, and I think it's continuing to push the boundaries and bring in new fans, and I love it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, guys. We should all be all for that. Be as inclusive as possible and bring in these new fans. Like, there are times where you feel protective of this character or the storyline or what have you, and it's being depicted in film and TV, and it's like, it was mine. But you know what? At the end of the day, you share it. And Chris and I, both musicians, both have recorded a ton of music, and you never want to let it go. Am I right, Chris? You never want to let that song go. It's never ready. But at some point, you love it. You just got to let it go, and it's not yours for yourself anymore. It's for everybody else. And I don't know if that's a good enough analogy right there, but that's the way I look at it too. And I'm glad, because it's weird. I never thought I'd be in this position as a father, but being able to expose these characters to my daughter and having it be just cool. Because when growing up, it wasn't really cool to collect comic books, to be honest with you.
Right.
And she loves it, man, and her friends love it, and her cousin, who's 4 months older than her, loves it, and it's just I don't know. I'm rambling right now, but I agree. I think this is great for the market, and I'm glad you went with this. Be like, look, it is kind of a rinse and repeat, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because people are paying attention.
Right, and and I always say this too, and I'll say it again. I have yet to hear some. I mean, maybe there's an individual here and there. I can't even think of one off top though. Nobody's getting burnt out. Nobody's getting burnt. And I've said this before too. Like the ones that are vocal, like on social media, that say this is ruining comics, variants are ruining comics, speculators are ruining comics. I don't read modern comics, and some people might not, but I'm leaving the hobby. I'm done with comic books. I'm done with Marvel. The MCU's trash. They're still going and seeing the movies. They're still buying comic books. Yeah. They're still in the hobby. They're still spending the money. So, that's another thing about this is like, I could sit here and say what I just said about all these factors that are hyperbolic right now, and we're being fed so much of this. And like you had just said, Jeff, the types of the speculation, the movie hypes, the optioned hype, and the way that the speculative market is working itself right now is definitely it's like a growing virus, so to say. Not to call it a virus like it's a bad thing, but it's this spreading thing that just keeps, and like I said, I cannot speak bad on it until I see it having a horrible effect on the hobby as a whole. And it's not. And you can even look at the things that we talk about with ebb and flow. Even Ultimate Fallout 4 cooled down a little bit after it boom. But I talk about setting floors and new ceilings all the time. And ebb and flow is healthy. And ebb and flow usually looks like this. You start right here. You get some type of speculation hype. It goes all the way up here. It cools down a little bit, but never goes back here again. So now the new floor is right here. It goes up, but then it cools down and never goes back down here. So now here's the new floor. this is what's going on in the market. Even with the insanity of the COVID market, we've seen a lot of stuff cool off, but nothing is going post 2020, really. In terms of looking at the market as a whole, it's not happening. So, even when we talk about variants and a lot of variants, and this is for years, this is pre-COVID, a lot of these incentive variants that sell for $50, $80, $100, they end up, you can barely sell them for 20, but again, I've yet to really hear people say that are into these variants say, I'm not buying incentive variants anymore. It's like they keep buying them.
There's a reason they're being produced.
Exactly. So again, the only things that I see having a really horrible effect on this hobby right now are things like I talked about last week on my show. And I brought it up a little bit on the Canon with like the ultimate Fallout 4 facsimiles and a seller on eBay trying to scam people. Like people literally perpetuating fraud and doing stuff like that that's going to take advantage of new collectors, young collectors, whatever the case may be. And they're not going to want to be in the hobby because of dishonest, horrible people like that. I mean, those are the things that I feel are hurting the hobby. I think all of this stuff that's going on, it may or may not be for you, but at the end of the day, at bare minimum, at the foundation of it all, these things are driving this hobby in a positive direction.
Yep, absolutely. And I think we're at this peak right now, this hype, because again, like when we were collecting, there was a stigma around comic books, but you get a guy, the reason that they're doing so well in other medias, specifically film, is because people grew up loving these stories, these characters. And I can name one person he wanted to make a difference, and he did. That's Kevin Feige, and he made it happen. Like that's a major reason is because these fans that became creators created the stuff that were true to what we grew up with, And it's just people are finally seeing in the mainstream what these characters are. So I'm excited. It's a great time to be a fan, and that is the top 10 hottest comics of the week based off of Cover Prices data. We'll have an interesting list, probably based off of other, other announcements or trailers or what have you. But again, it's fun. So right there ends the top 10 hottest comics of the week.